Hello, New Orleans. You're listening to the Sports Coma, your new #1 podcast on everything Saints, Pelicans, and a lot more. And now, here's your host, Big Q and the guys.
Good evening. Sports and fanatics going out to all y'all out there. Got an interesting show today. We're going to be covering them Saints and them Pels, mostly the Saints at training camp. Got a good long-time friend of mine, rapper extraordinary, plus sports genius as well. You know about them Saints, lifelong Saints fan and expert on them as well, Mr. Blaxuede. How you doing, sir?
How you doing, sir? How you doing, sir? Thank you very much, man. Thank you very, very much. It's very nice. It's very nice to be here on the Coma.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, that's right. We're gonna cover some topics right now with you, Suede. We got a few things to talk about in the camp. You know, we're gonna talk about Von Bell and how he excelling. He had an excellent day at camp today. He laid out Danny Lasco, put a big hit on him, but Lasco paid him back later on. Little give and get, you know. And
yeah. That's football.
yeah, you're right.
It's football, you know, and I like Von Bell. I remember I talked with Big Boy, who was on the show the other day,
yes.
And he asked me, he said, what was my top three? Von Bell was, of course, in my top three, old boy from Ohio State.
Right.
I mean, very nice player. He came, I think, 2014 in Ohio State. He had 6 interceptions. He may have had 1 last year, but being around that solid defense that things are getting together, I think he can definitely fit in and make it happen. You know, good solid player.
Yeah, I like Von Bell too. He excellent player, man. The Saints moved up in the draft to get him with that 3rd round pick. In anticipation, I only can think of you take a safety as the in the caliber mode of what Von Bell was. Key contributor to that Ohio State championship team. Him and the big wide receiver they got from Ohio State as well, the 2nd round pick. But I like Von Bell a lot. I think if they believe in if Jairus Bird's not ready to go, then they got a capable backup in Von Bell who might be the heir apparent to that position.
Yeah, I would definitely. You know what? He might hold heir to that position, and I definitely like it. I have much faith in Bell coming behind Bird because with him, of course, you know, like I know, you don't know which Bird what's going to happen. Right. You don't know if he's going to be healthy. You don't know if he's going to be injured. You don't know. So with Bell coming behind him, I definitely have faith in that, and hopefully that Kenneth Faried shows us his abilities this year.
Right.
I know you told me earlier, you said he pretty much had a good season last year, pretty decent, I guess.
He had a solid year. He bounced back.
In my opinion, he kind of disappointed last season and the season before. So I would definitely like to see more from Kenneth Faried and this whole safety family that they're putting together can definitely be one of the best in Saints history.
I think that's good optimism. I think that a lot of what's going on with the secondary, man, a lot of excitement around the secondary. A lot of those defensive backs coming in, a lot of guys coming in with they're trying to prove themselves. P.J. Williams, the 3rd round draft pick the Saints took last year to try to beef up the secondary. Him and Damian Swine was one of the 5th round picks. That Swine was a 5th round pick. P.J. was a 3rd round pick. They took him high. They thought that P.J. could actually contribute last year. Of course, he got hurt early on. They put him on injured list, but he come back. He's totally fine now, and he's making some plays. Devin Bro's taking him under his wing, and he's a physical cornerback with some speed. And I remember when he first came out, some scouts said that he was a better cover man than what Ramsey, who the Jaguars took this year, who went high in the draft this year. So, like I said, I really like P.J. Williams. I think Damian Swine, if he can stay healthy, we keep him. You know, he had a bunch of concussions last year, which is kind of you got to keep your eye on that. But other young people in the secondary like Devontae Harris and Ken Crawley, those undrafted guys that's coming in trying to make the team. They got a lot of speed and they got a lot of enthusiasm and they breaking up passes and the likes in the secondary, and that's encouraging. What's your take on that, Tweet?
It's very encouraging. I think I read earlier on where they talked about old Crawley. Say Crawley was doing a doggone good job.
Mm-hmm.
He intercepted a couple of passes, broke up a couple of passes in training camp, and I told you before, with the defense doing so good in training camp this year, you don't know whether your offense sucks or your defense is better. you don't really know. So
Right.
I can't wait to get those two on the field and actually see where they stand against opposite opponents.
Right.
Against other teams,
Right.
playing each other, yes, is good, and you can also make each other better, but you don't really know where your team stands until you face another opponent.
That's correct. That's absolutely the truth. And you can't really cut loose on your own teammates too when you're practicing against them to avoid them injuries.
It's money out there, baby.
Right.
You don't want to hurt the money.
Right.
Don't hurt the money.
Right. So it's not the same feeling when you're playing somebody else's team. You can lay them guys out. So that'll be interesting to see when they start scrimmaging against the Texans and the Patriots,
Right.
before they get those preseason games going.
And shout out to that boy Delvin Bro.
Yes.
I talked about him earlier, man. There's nothing but respect for that guy. He's gonna become in my sight one of the best cornerbacks, which saying is not really too awesome because the Saints have not had too many awesome cornerbacks. So he'll be one of the best cornerbacks that the Saints have ever had.
Well, yeah, that's saying a lot because you talk about people like Dave Waymer or maybe we got Eric Allen toward the end of his career. Ashley Ambrose was a real good
I
one.
wouldn't say
Yeah.
see that you like Q, but I wouldn't say Eric Allen didn't share with him as well.
Right. But Keenan Lewis is up there. Hopefully if Keenan Lewis can stay healthy, that's the thing. The last couple of years he's been having those hip injuries. He had surgery on the same hip last year. It's been bothering him. So he says that he's 100% ready to go. The Saints are taking him with kid gloves right now. He practiced yesterday, didn't practice so much today. And I expect him to probably follow that routine up until when the regular season, when the real games count. Let's switch gears a little bit. We're going to talk about the Yahoo Sport report and NFL.com report saying the Saints interested in trading for Cowboys offensive lineman, left guard Ronald Leary, who's great, who's mostly just a road grade, like a run blocking guard, not much on the pass, but he's a solid run guard. 1 year left on that contract at $2.5 million or so. Cowboys looking for a quarterback, possibly a defensive lineman or a draft pick. You think the Saints make that move? What's your take on that? What you think?
They're gonna make a move. I know you heard it was either on what's the guy's name again? What's his name?
Lyle Collins.
No, not him. But he's also involved with Collins and the one you just spoke of.
Right.
I know they
Ronald Leary.
They were looking at him, but the Cowboys wasn't that interested in trading for the first guy you mentioned.
Right.
What was his name?
Lyle Collins was a guy that.
Not Lyle Collins. The first.
Ronald Leary.
Guy. Rob Leary, Mr. Leary.
Right.
So I know they were interested in Leary, but the Cowboys wasn't too interested in giving him up. So the second option could have been Collins.
Right.
Who knows what they're gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
Collins, Leary also, didn't play too much last year.
Right.
So,
right.
You never know which way they're gonna go with that. Who knows?
Well, looking at with the Cowboys, I think there's smoke, there's fire. This has been dragging on for the last 3 months or so. The Saints be interested in getting Ronald Leary at left guard because the left guards that stand right now. In my opinion, I don't think none of those guys are NFL caliber starting guards. Clemente is more of a reserve, and so is Lolito. He's been unproven and inconsistent. Played a little guard, played a little center. My opinion is he don't play either one of them very well, which is the reason why the Saints only issued him that 1 year tender as opposed to extending him a multi-year deal like they did Clemente. So, Ronald Leary definitely would fit the bill. I think he'll do an excellent job. You plug him right next to Armstead and Max Unger, and you complete the left side of your offensive line. You bring stability in there. I don't think the reason why the Cowboys are even much entertaining this because really they wanted Ronald Leary as depth just in case we had an issue with interior linemen that they went down with injury. But
right, I know, and also in return that the Cowboys wanted to have a look at one of our backups, right? Because they were looking for some depth in their quarterback position.
Right,
correct?
They had a recent injury, yes.
So, with that being said, with them looking for depth in their quarterback position, which quarterback do you think they would be interested in, and which one do you think we give up?
Well, I don't think the Saints sacrifice none of their quarterbacks. I think they obviously like Luke McCown. They not McClown, but Garrett Grayson is a guy at first I believed early on that they kind of lost confidence, but I think now he's been playing pretty good. He's been showing a lot of confidence in camp. He looked real comfortable, and I think he kind of solidified the third position, the third quarterback slot. So I don't think the Saints give up any of their quarterbacks. Maybe possibly a draft pick. I don't know if they give up something as high as a third, maybe a fourth round, maybe a fifth round for Ronald Leary. You can't give up too much for a lineman. He only has 1 year left on his deal, and he could you don't want to give up too much for him because he can walk in a year and become a free agent. So we'll keep an eye on it.
We'll see. It'll be interesting to give up a draft pick. I'm pretty sure that next year the Saints will be going into the draft, and I wanted to be on top of the water, definitely because of some offensive linemen that they need to pick up.
Oh yeah.
In next year's draft. So I don't want them to give up a first. Definitely not a first, but not a third, a second, a third.
Right.
Let's keep that and get some offensive linemen going for next year.
Right, I agree with you. On to our next, we're going to switch gears on another subject. Jrue Evans, our longtime right guard, was released. Jrue Evans, our big guard.
What is his name? All right, okay.
With Jrue Evans being released by the Saints. Jrue, yes.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
But with Jrue being released by the Saints early, he ended up fielding visits with he had a situation set up where he visited with Seattle, the Seahawks today. They're looking for help in the guard position. He also had visits lined up with Buffalo and San Francisco. A little tidbit of information for former Jrue lovers, former Saints guys. We always wish them well. Let's talk a little Saints special teams talk. I know that's not one of your favorite subjects, but
yeah, because I'm about to go crazy. I'm about to go nuts about special teams. But
it's very important now.
You know, there's my one favorite special team player, but there's actually two. Okay, you know it already is Morstead. Right. And you already know it is Marcus Murphy.
Yes.
I love what Marcus Murphy brings, the excitement, the electricity that he can bring to that special team. I do believe, along with my partner Big Boy, who's not here at this time, but I speak for you, my brother, that he can also be the second coming, which you disagree with, Big Q, the second coming of Darren Sproles. Right. As far as kicker goes, right? I have talked to a couple of my people that work at Popeyes, that work at the cash register. We're going to get them to go into qualify the practice and try out for kicker.
Come on.
Okay, and hopefully they can make it, okay? Because, I mean, we're taking anything for kickers right now, okay? As long as you have 2 feet, hey, messing with the Saints, you can have a half a foot. It doesn't matter. You come in, if you can kick it over 50 yards, you're good. Okay, let's go.
Well, the two. Well, we're not to take nothing away from the kicker game. But Connor Barth and Kai Forbath are the two guys that's competing right now. Forbath has the advantage. He has missed any kicks, but like you said, when it comes down to the kickers, nobody gives a damn about the kickers until the regular season starting and you're trailing by 2 points, and you need that guy from Popeyes to kick a field goal to win the game for you. I think you probably would want a professional kicker as opposed to the guy from Popeyes, or even worse, the guy from Church's.
Well, you know what you want. What's the guy named Forbath? You know what you want Forbath? You steak.
Okay. All right, well, that's in the rest of the tape. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about some other stuff. We're going to talk about the Breeze extension, the running back situation, the left end position, who gets that left end, and the Saints subsidies. Tom Benson got the subsidy deal, and we'll cover it all on the other side of the break on the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. We'll be back.
Winter pressure is gone, so spring on over to We've Got It, your low-price, high-class leader. That's right, come in now and take advantage of our everyday bundle deals on any 3 bundles. 12 to 16 inches, $130. 18 to 22 inches, $155. And 24 to 30 inches, $185. We've Got It. 495 Voters Road in Slidell. 985-445-1400. That's 985-445-1400.
I'm the flyest in the world. I'm the flyest in the world. I'm the flyest in the world. Who you know that's better than me? Nobody.
Be the playmaker. Madden NFL 16. Game not yet rated.
Hey, I'm Paul, and I used to ask if you could hear me now with Verizon. Not anymore. I'm with Sprint now, because guess what? It's 2016 and every network is great. In fact, Sprint's reliability is now within 1% of Verizon. And Sprint saves you 50% on most Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile rates. So I switched to Sprint, and millions more have too. Can you hear that?
Don't let a 1% difference cost you twice as much. Switch to Sprint today.
What up, America? This Big Q from the Sports Coma, letting you know that you can follow us and the guys on Facebook, All Saints and Pelican fans, also on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, the Sports Coma. You can also download our podcast at podbean.com. So check us out for all the intense and entertainment talk on the Saints, the Pels, and a hell of a lot more. Only at the Sports Coma, you heard me?
Get ready, New Orleans. It's time for the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, telling you everything you need to know about the Saints, Pelicans, and a whole lot more.
I ain't gonna say it no more.
That's right. Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. Welcome back. We going into our second segment of the show. We're gonna cover on this side. We're gonna talk about the Drew Brees extension, the running back battles, who wins on the left end opposite of Cam, who I think is probably our best defensive lineman. So let's look at the running back battle first. We didn't get an opportunity to talk about that. Mark Ingram is a guy that a lot of people hung their hats on. He had a slow start to his career the first couple of years. People considered him a bust. That third and fourth year, he caught on like gangbusters, and he's been rolling ever since. You got Tim Hightower backing him up, coming off of injury, and then he found a new life with the Saints.
A couple of touchdowns for training camp.
Yes, he's doing real well. He broke a long one. So yeah, he's totally healthy, and he's been like an inspirational story for a lot of NFL players who were out of the game for a while, still had the love of the game in his heart. Was blessed to come to the Saints and learn and have an opportunity, worked his way up from the bottom of the depth chart, now sits currently second behind Mark Ingram, and quite frankly, his style complements Mark Ingram. They both have the similar straight-headed north-south runner mentality. Then there's C.J. Spiller, who was injured last year. C.J. spoke on a previous interview and said that the reason he had his speed, but he lacked the cutting ability to make the cuts, and a lot of that is a part of his game is mostly elusive, speed and elusiveness. He couldn't do that last year. This year he's finally healthy enough to do it, and he's been cutting up in camp. He's been showing his elusiveness in camp. And then there's your favorite Marcus Murphy and the Travaris Cadet and Danny Lasco, Travaris Cadet, and Dan. You know who that is.
What is his name?
And then Danny Lasco, this year's rookie 7th round pick, who a lot of people was kind of surprised the Saints took. But if you look at the running back situation, you got a few backs that's on 1 or 2 year deals, so a lot of opportunity going to be available for Lasco in the future. But now let's talk about that running back situation. Your take on the running back situation. Who do you like? Who do you don't like?
Well, of course, I love Mark Ingram. With him sharing the ball, in quotations, thunder and lightning with Pierre Thomas, we all know that Mark Ingram is the Hulk. He has to get the ball in order to get mad, and then he starts to break tackles, and he does his thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. C.J. Spiller, I understand he's coming off an injury. He wasn't as elusive as he can be, and he's very much shining in training camp right now. Of course, Marcus Murphy, I do feel can be the future Darren Sproles. Travaris Cadet.
Yes.
I remember, I don't know how he got on the team. I thought I put him on the curb Wednesday in order to get picked up by BFI. But unfortunately, some kind of way, he got out of the truck and he made it to the Saints training camp.
It's called recycling, brother. It's called recycling. It's called recycling.
Yeah, it's recycling, right? Okay. Well, I'm not green. I'm not going green. Okay? I'm not going green. Not with Travaris Cadet. I don't like Travaris Cadet, not as a person, but as a player. He doesn't show me too much. He doesn't show me anything at all. He's an average back. There's not much I can say because I don't play in the NFL. No, I'm not. But I am athletic, and I do feel if I train for like 2 days, I can be better than Travaris Cadet. Okay? Okay? I don't need to be honest, but my favorite three, I definitely like Mark Ingram. I'm definitely going with C.J. Spiller. I know they're going to put Marcus Murphy on the special teams, and they're going to put Hightower at 3.
Okay, that's good insight. I don't agree. I don't share your sentiment. I don't think Travaris Cadet is garbage or BFI or recycled. I think he's a pretty decent player. They let him go early in his career. He went to New England, developed some talent, and came back. But I still like Travaris. So that's where we stand. I don't think Travaris Cadet is such a bad back. I think he depends on what kind of situation you're running your team. And with the Saints' wide open style of offense, I believe everybody got touches. I mean, there was 1 year where they had 4 receivers with 40-plus catches. So this team's offense is a wide open system, and I think it can help anybody.
I got a question for you, Big Q.
Yes, sir.
You remember a big run that Mark Ingram broke, correct?
Yes.
You can even remember a run that C.J. Spiller broke, correct?
Yes, against Dallas.
Even Marcus Murphy, I can remember a big special teams run that Marcus Murphy ran, right?
Right.
And I kind of remember Hightower breaking something.
Yes.
Can you say the same for Travaris Cadet?
Travaris Cadet had a few opportunities late last year when they had
opportunity. I mean, the pigeon on the field had an opportunity to touch the ball. Travaris Cadet is not productive. He is not. And like the words of my man, big boy, who I've mentioned quite often in this telecast.
Yes, he'd be quite proud.
He was cut once and then let back. Okay? You cut him first time, that means he didn't see something in him, so why would they let him back? I love you, Travaris. I'm not hating on you. I'm just speaking facts.
Well, we're looking at his statistics from last year. He had a few games that he did playing. He had a few games where he played. He's not a starter, but he comes in and he gives you what he can give you.
Right.
He's a guy that I think complements the passing game. He's a guy that basically can come out the backfield, that can help you catch balls. Late last year when they had injuries to the running back position, Travaris showed up. He caught a couple touchdowns. He was catching the ball out the backfield. He has pretty decent hands for that type of back, and that's what they envisioned him when he first arrived. The first stint. He didn't make it. They had a loaded backfield as usual. He went to New England, injuries or whatever happened for the Saints. He was able to come back and be effective late last year, and I think that's why he earned a position to an opportunity this year. And it's going to be pretty tight because they're loaded at that running back position. and he might be able to make it, but it depends. Maybe injuries might be a part of the game. He might, if he could pick up. My best idea is that he makes the team as a special team ace, a guy that can play in the special teams. If he can't do that, if he's beat up by Marcus Murphy or Lasco, he could probably find himself on the street. But switching gears on that, let's talk about the.
Again, I'm sorry. I'm about to go back to the BFI comment, but go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What you say, Big Q?
No, I think we done hurt Travaris. Yeah, we done beat Travaris to out of defended him. But we're gonna switch gears. Let's talk left end position, the opposite position outside of Cam Jordan. Of course, I think you probably would agree with me that Cam Jordan is our best defensive lineman, and we're looking at a buddy or an end that can complement him. We're looking at right now as it stands. I think a lot of people might agree that Gawachim leads the left end battle along with Kasim Edibali and Davis Toll. Then you had Shaughnessy, who comes over from Oakland and Arizona. They added him a few days ago to compete in that battle. Then there's Darryl Tapp, the former Philadelphia Eagle and Seattle Seahawk defensive end. He comes over and competes in that battle for the left end after Kikalaha's injury that put him on the injured list.
Right.
So, what's your take? What's your take on the left end position? Who do you think?
My question to you, Mr. Q.
Mm-hmm.
My question to you, Bobby Richardson.
Yes.
Okay. How do you feel about Bobby Richardson?
Bobby Richardson, I think Bobby Richardson can play multiple positions. I think he could play a little defensive tackle. Mostly, I think the Saints probably see Bobby Richardson as a backup for Cam Jordan.
A backup for Cam.
Right.
So my question is, then who do you think would fit to the other side? Would you go with Gawachim?
I think Gawachim is probably the best fit. I like him. I don't know what to expect out of Davis Toll. I'm still looking at Davis Toll. I like what he did in college, but once again, college is not the NFL. But you can only do what you can do. But he had a good serving in college. He was a pretty high motor guy. I do like Kasim. My favorite hard-working pillar on the team is Kasim Edibali. He's a tough dude, man, that fought his way onto the team from the special teams. But honestly, I believe that Kasim Edibali is probably the best bet at this juncture of time, simply because his measurables. He's 6'5". He was 245 last year. He gained 20 pounds. His frame for
right on the opposite side of Cam.
Right, he's 6'5". The problem with him is not the fact that the kid can rush the quarterback. In limited action, he had 2.5 sacks, I believe, last year. But this year, he's been getting sacks in camp as well. He's getting pressure on the quarterback. The issue with Gawachim is, can he play the run? That's the issue that's really that I think a lot of people wants to see. But if he can do that, I think the position probably would be his. What you think about that?
Well, as far as these new names and these new guys are coming in, and they're coming in from different teams, we've seen this kind of musical chairs from the same defensive line before. We definitely have a guaranteed player in Cameron Jordan. Which one of these boys will step up? I have no idea. I couldn't even tell you until, like I told you, we get to that opponent and we find out what's going on. With Bobby Richardson, I totally agree with you. He may be an awesome backup for Cameron Jordan, but he may also fit as a starter on the line, because like you said, he can play multiple positions. I'm just so excited, Q. Yes. I'm so excited about this defense this year, man. Yes. I can't wait till you get Rankin up on that line. I can't wait till you get a lot of these boys that's ready to go. And you don't know where they're going to be until you get to that opponent. But all this talent, man, it's ridiculous.
Yes, I share your excitement, man. I'm enthused too. I can't wait to the regular season. We get past the preseason games, get to the regular season, and really getting the meat and potatoes of it. But we're gonna finish up. We're gonna talk the QB extension, Drew Brees extension on the other side of the break. Also, that Saints versus taxpayer Saints subsidy deal was signed, giving the team a lot of the revenue to do what they need to do. Is it a win? Is it a win for the Saints fans? Is it a win? Like it's a win for Tom Benson? We'll talk about it on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Sports Coma. We'll be back. You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys.
Nah, man. I'm not retiring.
I'll still break that old man's ankles.
I'm still gonna knock down turn around jumpers all day.
That ain't changing.
Man, I drop threes on them all night long.
All night.
All night.
I'll drain threes on you all night.
Man, I dropped 82 on you. I've been Kobe for like 14 years.
I've been him for 16 years.
I won like 15 championships.
I've been Kobe for as long as I can remember.
Dude, you're 8.
Nah, man, I'm not retiring.
I hate Kobe Bryant.
I love that Mamba face.
I hate that Mamba face. I'll dunk on fools.
I'll still hate Kobe Bryant.
I'm still gonna hate him.
He's not done.
This doesn't change a thing. I am Kobe. I am Kobe.
I am Kobe Bryant.
I'll still be Kobe Bryant.
Product not yet rated.
The 6, Raptors, Diamond, Key, New Ride, Old Ride, Bad Times, Good Times, Young Money, New Money, OVO, 29, 29, 29, Best I Ever Had, Worst Behavior, Old Crib, New Crib, October, Sound, Festival, Album Time Again or Acting Time Again, My Friend, My Friends, Younger Me, Older Me, Me as Manny, Me as Jimmy, Me as Drake.
What up, America? This Big Q from the Sports Coma, letting you know that you can follow us and the guys on Facebook, All Saints and Pelican fans, also on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, the Sports Coma. You can also download our podcast at podbean.com. So check us out for all the intense and entertainment talk on the Saints, the Pels, and a hell of a lot more. Only at the Sports Coma, you heard me? Oh yeah, we back on the Sports Coma. Big Q and the guys, we back with you. Talking Jrue Brees, contract extension now. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Do we extend out Jrue? What do we do with Jrue? Do we let him walk and find a younger guy? What's the plan here? He's approaching 38 years of age. Why haven't they got the deal done? We've seen this before. Is he asking for too much? What's your take on that? What you think about the Jrue Brees extension? Why haven't they got it done yet? I don't think it'll be a problem for the season, but for my taste, I think for the next couple of years, if they building a contender, you can't. You gotta include Jrue Brees as a centerpiece for any Super Bowl aspiration that you have. So why isn't he under contract?
Right. I know, one thing that they're talking out of the range of 4 years, $95 million to maybe 100, right? With $65 million guaranteed, okay? Would you say Jrue Brees is 37 years old? In those 4 years, that's what, 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe like 41, possibly 42, depending on when he dropped out the womb. Now look, let me tell you something. Going into the years with Jrue Brees, I definitely agree with you, Q. Once you sign this extension, which they're going to sign it because it wouldn't make, you would see a total collapse in the whole Saints franchise if you don't sign Jrue Brees back to end his career in New Orleans, the only quarterback that ever got you to the Super Bowl. Once he signs this extension, the clock starts to tick because now you're going to have to hurry in order to get this team to another championship before it's too late. Okay?
Right.
And they're talking about maybe Jrue Brees will decline. All his skills will decline. Well, if that's so, I'm pretty sure during that time there will be a garbage team. Hopefully it'll be the Falcons. I wouldn't want to see him go to the Falcons. Excuse me, scratch that. It'll be like a Browns or any garbage team that will pick up a mediocre Jrue Brees and take up that free money.
I
say sign it.
Right.
I say go ahead and sign him up. for 4 years, get it done, and it'll work out good for everybody.
Well, a lot of talk on it is whether or not, at 30, 37 years of age, 38 basically, giving him that much money going into his 40s, there's obviously not very popular by most people that don't believe that should be the case. I think they should sign. I think Drew Brees should finish his career as a Saint. I mean, I've heard him say that multiple times that he wants to finish his career as a Saint. Can I ask you
one more thing, sir?
Yes, sir.
How would you feel? Has anybody ever asked Drew Brees about taking, if he wants a championship? Because I'm pretty sure he does. He's a competitor. Am I correct?
Yes.
He's a competitor. Would he be interested in taking a pay cut? Which, being Drew Brees, I mean, we paid him out the wazoo since what? He signed the last contract in 2012?
Yeah.
Okay, which was what, $100 million contract?
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yeah, it was groundbreaking contracts for Drew.
$100 million contract.
Yes.
We paid our respects to you, Drew. We love you. You know what I'm saying? It's been shown.
Right.
So, for you wanting another championship, I do think that he should take a pay cut.
Yes.
It shouldn't be a 95 to 100. He can maybe drop that thing down to, I don't know, let's say 85. How about 80?
Well, I mean, I agree with you. I think Drew Brees definitely could consider giving the New Orleans Saints a hometown discount, being that what you mean to the franchise, and I think he might be asking a little too much for what they're asking. He believes that he could play into his 40s. Obviously, the team don't want to. They can. I could see a 2-year deal, maybe a third with an option. But in that time, you're grooming a quarterback to come behind him and kind of pass the reins. But I know I've seen this. The Saints have done this before with Drew Brees. I think they'll probably end up getting an extension done sometimes in the season, toward the end of the season, to get him locked up for at least another 2 or 3 years, and start the grooming process for the young quarterback behind him. But they are not a contender without Drew. And I think Drew's the guy that he's not a contender. But even like you said, even with a mediocre Drew Brees, is still better than half the teams in the NFL.
Yeah, so, I mean, a mediocre Drew Brees is definitely smashing. What's the boy, the quarterback for the Chicago? Him.
Jay Cutler.
Yeah, that clown. He's definitely smashing. A mediocre Drew Brees is better than him. A mediocre Drew Brees is better than Alex Smith. A mediocre Drew Brees is, they're gonna hate him for saying this, is better than the Robert Griffin. You know, I'll take anybody with
they gonna hate you for saying that. That's the truth.
Drew Brees.
Right. Well, I mean that's true. They'll get the deal done sometime in the middle of the season, toward the end of the season. I think eventually they'll get that deal done between a 2 or 3 year deal.
Before you switch on me, brother.
Yes.
Before you switch on, we turn table. Just want to say that also within that 4 years, just like you said, you want to build somebody behind Drew Brees. Next year, also with looking for to build up that line, you have to go for that top receiver. Quarterback to back up Drew and get ready.
Yes.
And to get ready, it's time to get ready.
It's time to get ready. Right.
Right. I don't want to be like the Falcons.
Right.
I don't want to be.
Right.
I don't want to be like the Falcons. Right.
Yeah. Ideally, I think probably the best bet would be what Green Bay had when they had Brett Favre and they had Aaron Rodgers sitting in the wings.
Right.
A situation. Right. A situation like that.
Unfortunately, that's when you had Bledsoe and then you had Tom Brady. Unfortunately, he was right there after he got injured, but he was right there.
He was right there. Right.
You know.
So
you want to have somebody right there. Now, Luke McCown is very good. I love Luke. He showed me something last year when he came in for Drew, but he's up in age as well. So, you know what? If you look at it, then he can come after Brees and give you enough time to look for a quarterback, but you have to start looking now.
Yes. Well, they got Garrett Grayson and Sean Payton really likes Garrett Grayson. Like I said, he's been a different quarterback. He's more confident. And the longer he sit in that situation where you're learning from a guy like Drew Brees and even a veteran like Luke McCown, I think probably the best bet is they got a guy that they believe in. And remember, they took him with the 3rd round pick a couple years ago, very high. And he was the 3rd quarterback taken behind Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota. It was Garrett Grayson. So I mean, he is a guy that they're very high on. He looked awful in his first year. He was lost, but this year he might be showing some stuff, and we won't be calling on him to win games for us right now, barring injury. But in a year or so from now, I can see Garrett Grayson taking the reins at the second-string quarterback once they get the deal done with Drew Brees. And eventually in his fourth year, once Drew's contract is out or Drew's getting ready to retire, Garrett Grayson can step in and lead the charge. Okay, let's switch gears. Let's you had another take on that, Sway?
Go ahead, my brother. Go ahead.
Well, you know,
Racing some more, but go ahead. Let's go.
Well, the next thing I want to talk to you about is the Saints and the Saints versus the taxpayers. The article in the Times-Picayune that had that title, and it basically speaking about the Saints subsidy packages that the state is paying the Saints, how the Saints get all of the revenue, the concessions, the parking, the jersey sales, everything, all the money that the Dome makes on Sundays, it goes into the Saints, in particular Tom Benson's pocket, along with they pay no rent. They don't have to pay any rent to be in the Superdome, pay any rent to be in the arena, and any sales, concessions, parking, and even naming rights to the deals. The Smoothie King deal worth $40 million over 10 years for the arena, and the BMW, the Mercedes deal, with the Superdome. All of that revenue goes into Tom Benson's pockets, and a lot of people kind of sore about it because not too many people lovers of the sport like we are. But a lot of people feel that that's that public money, which is what it is, that goes to the building of the Saints practice facilities, the renovations of the Superdome handled by some federal money, which is basically taxpayer money anyway, that some of these guys that don't care about football are getting a raw deal. The people who don't care about football is getting a raw deal, and to some degree the guys who care about football is getting a rare deal because they're carrying a private enterprise. What's your take on the Saints subsidies? Is it a case of the fat cats, the rich getting rich and the poor getting poor? What's your take on that?
Let me tell you something, man. Tom Benson, that's my boy. That's my dog. You know what I'm saying? Okay? If he wants to go ahead and he has the Saints, he was about to leave. He was about to roll out of here. Y'all begged for the man to come back. You damn near about to shoot him. They're about to shoot him. Let the man come. Let the man. He owns the team. He owns all the money's going in his pocket. All the money from the Saints. All the money from the Pelicans. Hey, that's business. The NFL is a business. If it's going, if pocket is going, if all the food is going, that's fine. I'm not tripping. I'm going to the Saints game and I'm gonna make my money elsewhere. They don't have to give me nothing.
Okay. Well,
that's pretty much the bottom line how it stands.
Right.
And I was with the Saints. Without the Saints, I can't say too much about the Pelicans right now. But without the Saints being here, I mean, I can almost say that between the months of August and February, this city will be nothing.
Well,
I'm just saying, this
well,
would be nothing.
They give you something to do on Sunday, no doubt about it. Man, you've been following them for years.
You've been following the Saints for years.
Right.
And, I mean, if you want to sit here and you say, oh, you need to put something back in the community, I mean, that's fine if that's your opinion.
Right.
But once he says, I don't want to do that, then what you going to do? Are you going to kick the Saints out of the city? Hell, I'll be doggone.
Yes.
Okay?
Well, I think the other avenues is the Super Bowl. They bring the Super Bowl. They bring a lot of business to the city in terms of. So it's a lot. It's a lot of things that is positives to having the Saints and the Pelicans down here. So it's a case of some like it and some don't. That's just how it is. But that was interesting. So we're about to go on to our next break. That was very interesting. But on the spot, yeah. That was real interesting. But look, we're going to talk Pelican talk with Blaxuede coming up in the next segment. We're going to talk about possible trades of Kenneth Faried from Denver, Greg Monroe, Jrue Holiday, do we extend him out? What do we do with Jrue? Tyreke Evans situation. AD, is he healthy enough? Is he going to stay healthy? We're going to cover all those talks, to all other topics on the other side of the break. Blaxuede. You're rapping with the Sport Coma with Big Q and the guys. We'll be back momentarily.
Hey, this Suede. I'm about to tune you in. I'll cue you into your one-stop online shop for all your health essentials. Your vitamins, your water filters, healing magnetics, hygiene products, healing crystals, and jewelry. For all this and more, just log into theposhlifestyle.com. Once again, that is theposhlifestyle.com.
There's no one road out there. No one surface. No one speed. No one way of driving on each and every road. But there is one car that can conquer them all. The Mercedes-Benz C-Class. 5 driving modes let you customize the steering, shift points, and suspension to fit the mood you're in and the road you're on. The 2016 C-Class, starting at $38,950.
Is it true Ciroc vodka makes the best flavors in the world? Take one sip of the lush wildness of Ciroc Red Berry. One taste of the intense ripeness of Ciroc Peach. Even one drop of the explosive freshness of Ciroc Coconut. And the truth will come to your lips. Ciroc Ultra Premium flavors. One sip is all it takes to taste true perfection. Available in Red Berry, Coconut, and Peach. Ciroc, nothing tastes better than the truth.
Bud Light Party believes in change. That's why Bud Light has a new look, and we want to share it with everyone. From our national parks to our furthest shores, jackpot, to your living room. Look under your seats! Still the same refreshing Bud Light with a new look.
Back at it. You rapping with the Sports Coma. Big Q and the guys. Blaxuede's on the line. We talking Pelicans. So I'm gonna ask Suede to put his Pelican hat on today. If we're gonna talk Pelicans, we're gonna find out, we're gonna get to the bottom of it and find out just how good our Pelicans could be this year. If they're a playoff team or not. Did they do enough to be competitive? It's a lot of questions. A lot of heavy questions. AD, been carrying his team for a while. Had an inconsistent staff. Eric Gordon, Ryan Anderson, mostly offensive players. Ryan Anderson was a good shooter at times. Terrible on the defensive end. Eric Gordon played well last year for him, shot pretty well for him. Just couldn't stay healthy. It just was a complete disaster. Well, out goes the old, in comes the new. Here comes Buddy Hield. Comes from Oklahoma. This guy was a lights-out shooter from Oklahoma and key to a lot of success that they had there, and a real big-time name. He'll shed a star. He'll be a young addition to help AD when they double AD. AD can kick it out to him, and I'm pretty sure he'll get his looks. Sheik Diallo was a second-round draft pick they picked up out of Kansas. The guy has been terrific in summer league play. He was lights out. Then the free agent acquisitions that the Pels added. Starting with Solomon Hill, getting him from Indianapolis. He's a guy that does multiple things. He can play the power forward, small forward, and a little two if you need him to. He's mostly a defensive player that can hit a corner shot every now and again for you. He's a pretty decent three-point shooter. You got Antoine Moore, who they brought in from Chicago, shot 45% from the three-point line for Chi-Town. Last year, 6'4". He's a guy. It's a combo guard. He could play either the one or the two. Langston Galloway comes over from the Knicks. He's a native of Baton Rouge. Another guy that's a gritty defensive guy who can play multiple positions. And then finally, they added Terrence Jones, AD's college teammate. They won a championship together with Kentucky, and with Memphis. And these guys are now playing together for the first time, and they said AD was instrumental in having him to join us. Being with that said, and the health of Anthony Davis, Quincy Pondexter, and hopefully Jrue Holiday, do you think that we finally got enough to get back to the postseason?
Man, it's really hard to call with the New Orleans with the Pels, man. You know, like a friend of mine named Five once told me, man, this game of basketball, you're gonna need some big names. You're gonna need some superstars. Man, the biggest superstar on this team is Anthony Davis, and you hope Buddy Hield will come surface to a superstar one day, and then you have kind of Jrue and Tyreke Evans, but it's really no big names and no big guys. Even as far as centers go, well, AD can play the center. You have Alexis Ajinka and Amir Asik. You have Asik. Okay, Asik is pretty decent center, okay? But he's not the man that you need to hold that position down. He can probably be a good backup. Okay, an awesome backup, but he's not the guy to hold it down. You have your trade talks about Greg Monroe. Okay, beautiful. But, I mean, it's still not enough. It's something about the Pelicans until we can't attract these big names. They don't want to come here. And it's like we have to draft these boys in order to build something. When we drafted Chris Paul, awesome player. Soon as he rolled out, David West, right?
Right.
So the contract rolled out. So it's something that we need to. I don't know why we have to start getting these superstar players in here with this lineup. I don't see us in the toughest division in the league. I don't think this lineup can do it.
Well, that's a fair take. I think probably they need a few more pieces. The team with the Cupboards were pretty much bare. They were wiped out by the injury bug last year. They discovered some young talent. Tim Frazier, the young point guard that they were able to sign him to a multi-year deal here. He'll provide some depth. I think this was a team without an ID, without an idea of who they were, without an identity. And I think finally last year when Dale Demps made the call to fire Monty Williams, not the year before when they went to the playoffs, coming off the playoff year, he fires Monty Williams, then hires Elvin Gentry, coming off being assistant coach with the champion Golden State Warriors at the time. Brings him in and gives him the same team that Monty Williams had, even though his system is the exact opposite of Monty. Monty was a half-court guy. Dale likes to run. And the team that he had was not a running team. And you see what it translated in 30 wins. And at the time, when it was happening, I said, "This is foolish. It won't work," and it didn't work. So after people was demanding that Dale Demps get the boot, he asked Danny Ferry to join him and help him build this team together. And most of these moves that I see, if I had to take credit, split them apart and says who did what. I believe this is more Danny Ferry's calls than I believe it is Dale Demps, after seeing Dale Demps for 6 years and seeing that his makeup is he doesn't draft. He don't believe in drafting talent. He believes in overpaying veterans like Tyreke Evans to come, or Jrue Holiday to come down here and play. Don't get me wrong, Jrue Holiday is a good point guard, but he's not. He spent most of the time on the bench as an injured player, and also it was a black eye too for the Pelicans when that happened. When the Philadelphia Sixers pulled the wool over their eyes when they beat our medical department that couldn't determine what was going on injury-wise with Jrue Holiday and how they were able to trick us into getting Jrue Holiday when he was injured. That was unbelievable. But being with all that said, I still think this year they've done enough to be a bottom playoff seed, to get the 8 seed team. I really do think they've done enough. The issue is whether they can stay healthy. Can AD and Jrue Holiday, who are the guys that's supposed to lead this unit of players, can these guys stay healthy when it's time, when it really counts? That's the question, and it's been shown that AD hasn't been pretty, hadn't had that longevity, and neither has Jrue Holiday. So when you got your best players and they're often injured, it don't bode well for the team going forward. And I agree with you. I don't think they take. They have to overpay for veterans to come down here. But I really do think they need to borrow a page from OKC. How OKC built their team through the draft by making solid and smart drafting decisions, drafting such talent like Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and the like. So I mean, I need to take a page from those guys.
Durant was in Seattle first.
Well, it was, but they became after a while they became OKC, and it's the GM, he was still there, and he was still able to add talent along with with Kevin Durant, and built Russell Westbrook and James Harden, drafting Sergio Ibaka, and even Reggie Jackson. I mean, I can go on and on about the things that these guys did. So
you agree with OKC or Seattle? We can say that. They built their team from the draft, correct?
Yes.
From the draft, and now they're able to attract certain players where they were, because I don't think they'll be able to do that now for a long time. I think OKC is about to go into a drought, because I'm pretty sure Russell Westbrook will be leaving, if not before the year starts the next year.
Well, today Russell Westbrook signed a 3-year extension, so he'll be around for at least 3 more years.
Oh, he signed a 3-year extension?
Yes.
Okay, still nobody wants to come to OKC and play with Russell Westbrook. All right? He's going to be the Kobe of Oklahoma City, okay? Nobody wants to come there and play with Russell Westbrook because he cries too much. Okay? All right. Back to New Orleans. I mean, it's pretty much the same deal, and I definitely agree with you that we're going to have to draft our players. Say it plain and simple.
Right. Well, I agree with you.
Unless you have a lot of money, you're gonna offer LeBron James, and you're gonna bring his talents to the Crescent City.
No, I don't think so. I think LeBron's not going anywhere. I think LeBron's comfortable right where he is.
So other than that, man, we're gonna have to go into the draft.
Right.
With this roster right here, man. Hey, salute. I'm a cheer for him. I know that much.
Well, like I said, I think it's an awesome deal, man, that they were able to build a team to where it is. I like where they headed at. I like they have the personnel to execute the kind of system that Elvin Gentry wants to do. But let's carry this. In terms of trade, Kenneth Faried is a report out right now about the Pelicans possibly acquiring Kenneth Faried, the young power forward. High energy dunker, good defensive power forward for the Denver Nuggets. I can't think of what they'll give up to get him. Maybe Tyreke Evans when he's finally healthy. Greg Monroe's another guy from Milwaukee who it's been for the last 2 or 3 months. Rumors have been tying the Bucks and the Pels together to get a deal done. I just don't think nothing's going to happen until Tyreke Evans can pass his physical. Amir Osik possibly, or Alexis Jenka in a trade, who knows? But it's good to know that the top brass, the GMs are not done putting this team together. So they're not going to settle on the 8th seed. I think they want to jump right in the thick of it.
True, man. I love my New Orleans Pelicans. I do. I swear I do. I put that on everything I love, sir. But it's just talking about these players does not excite me. These players do not excite me like talking about the Saints defense.
Right.
All right? These players is like, hey, okay, we have Tim Frazier, and then we have Langston Galloway, Alonzo Gee, we have Solomon Hill, and Kendrick Perkins. Man, these people are good, but they're not good enough to compete against these teams that are in the West. It's time to go to bed.
I get you. I feel you. I feel your passion. But you know what? I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you.
I can't deal with it, man. I love these boys, but it's not enough.
Right.
I think Kenneth Faried is eventually going to overthrow them down there.
Yes.
Take his spot.
Well, I'll tell you what. we kind of agreeing on that. I think that's in the future. But we're gonna talk about it on a later show. Blaxuede, we appreciate you stopping by the Sports Coma. You're more than welcome to stop by anytime, and we'll talk about it all. So appreciate you, my brother. And you've been listening to the.
I appreciate it, man. I'm glad you invited me. Definitely coming back again, man. On top. I'm one of the guys. What you expect?
That's right. So I appreciate y'all guys for listening to the Sports Coma tonight. Big Q and the guys. Suede stops by. Join us next time.
I got another question.
Yes, sir.
Can we bring Martin Anderson back? How about that?
No, we go.
We can't bring Martin Anderson. We
No.
need a kicker.
No.
We need a kicker.
He's like 80 years old. All right.
Can we bring him back? Come on, that.
No.
Okay.
All right. Well, appreciate y'all for listening to Sports Coma. Y'all have a blessed night, and continue to listen to us, support us, share us, check us out on SoundCloud at the Sports Coma and other social media. Like I said,
Jackie Chan? He can kick it.
have a blessed night from Sports Coma.